It's Emmy here. Sometimes memories sneak up on you like a soft summer breeze, whispering secrets you thought you tucked away forever. I'm 25 now, sitting in my cozy apartment with a cup of chamomile tea steaming in my hands, watching the rain patter against the window. But my mind, it drifts back to that summer in 2020, when I was just 20. The world was quieter then, wasn't it? With everything locked down, time felt like it stretched out endlessly, like a lazy river winding through golden fields. That's when it happened. That tender, unspoken thing between me and my Uncle James. My parents still don't know. And maybe it's better that way. Let me take you back there. It was July, and I'd come home from college early because of the pandemic. Home was this old farmhouse on the edge of a small town, surrounded by rolling hills and wildflower meadows. My parents were busy with their work from home, of course, and I had the run of the place during the day. Uncle James ... He was my dad's younger brother, 40 that year, but he carried himself with this quiet strength, like an oak tree that's weathered storms, but still stands tall. He had lost his job in the city and came to stay with us for a while, helping out with chores and just ... being there. He had these kind eyes, deep brown like rich soil after rain, and a smile that crinkled up the corners, full of stories he rarely told. The days blurred together in that heat. Mornings, I'd wake to the sound of birdsong and the distant hum of a tractor. I'd slip into my bikini, nothing fancy, just a simple blue one that made me feel free, like I was part of the sun-kissed world outside. The old outdoor shower by the barn was my little sanctuary. It was just a wooden stall with a rusty pipe, screened by climbing vines and honeysuckle. The water came straight from the well, cool and invigorating, washing away the stickiness of the night. I'd stand there, letting it cascade over me, feeling the droplets dance on my skin like tiny sparks of life. That's where it started. One afternoon, I glanced up through the steam and vines, and there he was. Uncle James, pausing in his walk from the fields, his gaze catching mine for just a moment. He didn't say anything, didn't move closer. But in that instant, something shifted. It was like our eyes shared a secret language, one of warmth and unspoken understanding. He turned away quickly, but I felt a flush rise in my cheeks, not from embarrassment, but from something deeper. A connection, fragile as a spider's web glistening in the dew. I didn't think much of it at first. We were family, after all. But as the days went on, that moment lingered, like the scent of lavender in the air. Evenings, we'd all gather for dinner, simple meals of grilled vegetables from the garden, fresh bread, and laughter around the table. My parents would talk about the news, the uncertainty of everything, but James and we'd exchange these quiet glances. His hand would brush mine when passing the salt, and I'd feel this gentle warmth spread through me, like sunlight filtering through leaves. It was innocent, really. No words needed. Just ... Being near each other. One evening, after a particularly hot day, I retreated to my room upstairs. The house was old, with creaky floors and windows that let in the evening breeze. I was still in my bikini from a dip in the creek, wrapped in a light towel, feeling the cool air soothe my sun-warmed skin. I heard footsteps on the stairs, soft, deliberate. My heart skipped a beat when the door creaked open. It was him. Uncle James, standing there in the doorway, the fading light casting a golden halo around him. "Emmy," he said, his voice low and steady, like a river stone smoothed by time. I thought you might need this." He held out a book, one of his favorites, an old collection of poetry about love and loss and the beauty of fleeting moments. I nodded, my breath catching just a little. He stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him. The room felt smaller then, charged with this quiet energy. We didn't speak much at first. He sat on the edge of my bed, and I joined him, our shoulders almost touching. The air between us hummed like the space before a summer storm. He opened the book, reading aloud in that soothing baritone of his. Words about hearts beating in unison, about breaths mingling like whispers in the wind. As he read, his hand found mine gentle, fingers intertwining like vines wrapping around a trellis. I leaned my head on his shoulder, feeling the steady rise and fall of his breathing, syncing with my own. It was like our heartbeats were dancing together, a silent rhythm that spoke volumes. We stayed like that for what felt like hours, though it was probably just minutes. The sun dipped lower, painting the room in shades of orange and pink. His free hand brushed my forehead, tucking a stray lock of hair behind my ear. That touch, it was like a spark of warmth, igniting something deep inside. Not fire, but a soft glow, like embers in a hearth on a cool night. I looked up at him, and our eyes met again, deeper this time, full of questions and answers we didn't need to voice. There was no rush, no urgency. Just this tender closeness, a shared silence that wrapped around us like a warm blanket. As the evening deepened, he stood to leave, but paused at the door. "Emmy," he murmured, "life's full of these quiet moments. Cherish them." And then he was gone, the door clicking shut softly. I lay back on my bed, my heart still echoing his, replaying the warmth of his touch, the cadence of his voice. It felt like we'd shared a secret world, one where emotions flowed freely, unspoken but profoundly felt. The rest of the summer unfolded in similar whispers. We'd find excuses to be alone, walks through the meadows at dusk, where the fireflies danced like tiny stars. He'd point out constellations, his arm around my shoulders, a protective warmth that made me feel safe, seen. One afternoon, by the creek, we sat on the bank, feet dangling in the water. He shared stories from his life travels to far-off places, heartbreaks that had shaped him, wisdom earned through years. "Time teaches us," he said, his hand resting lightly on mine. "But sometimes it's the heart that knows best." I listened, absorbing his words like rain on parched earth. In those moments, I felt grown up, not just in age, but in understanding. Our connection was like a gentle current, pulling us closer without words. There were days when the house felt too full, with my parents' voices echoing through the halls. We'd steal glances across the room, a shared smile that said everything. Once, during a family game night, his knee brushed mine under the table, accidental, perhaps, but it sent that same warmth coursing through me. I excused myself early, retreating to my room, only to hear those familiar footsteps later. He'd come with a cup of herbal tea, steam rising like our unspoken thoughts. We talked then about dreams and fears, his wisdom wrapping around me like a comforting embrace. His hand on my shoulder, steady and reassuring, grounded me in the moment. As August waned, the air grew cooler, hinting at change. I knew the summer couldn't last forever. College beckoned, and James. He had plans to move on, find work elsewhere. Our last evening together was bittersweet. We slept out to the porch after dinner, the stars twinkling overhead like diamonds on velvet. He pulled me close, his arms around me in a hug that lingered. I felt his heartbeat against my cheek, strong and steady, mirroring my own. Our breaths sensed a quiet harmony. He kissed my forehead soft like a promise and whispered, "Remember this warmth, Emmy. It's what makes life real." He left the next morning, a quiet goodbye with hugs all around. My parents waved from the driveway, oblivious to the depth of what had passed between us. I watched his truck disappear down the road, an ache in my chest like the first chill of autumn. Now, 5 years later, I think back on that summer with a soft smile. It wasn't about secrets or forbidden things. It was about connection, pure, emotional, wrapped in nostalgia. Uncle James taught me that love doesn't always need grand gestures. Sometimes it's in the gentle touch of hands, the shared rhythm of breaths, the warmth of a shoulder to lean on. Life's wisdom comes in these quiet seasons, shaping us in ways we don't see until later. And as I sit here, rain tapping a soothing rhythm on the pane, I realize love teaches in seasons, some brief, some forever, all true.